Hey everybody, my name is Charla Duncan. I'm the Director of Community and Economic Development with Warren County, and I have with me today John Preston, our Warren County Tax Administrator. Hey John.
Good morning. How are you?
We good. We are going to just do a quick little video tutorial education session about what it means for small businesses to list their personal property. I get questions a lot of times about what do I need to do to start my business? Am I zoned appropriately? Do I need a business license? Am I changing my use in my space? What do I do because of that? So our hope is that we're going to do these video tutorials so that you have a sense of the basics of what's required of you as a business owner. And then for any additional information, you can reach out to the tax office in Warren County or to Warren County Community and Economic Development. But today we are going to talk about taxes and listing our personal property for businesses. So John, can you tell us briefly, what does it mean for a small business to list their property?
Sure. Listing is the name of the state requirement for all individuals and business owners to list their business, personal property during the listing period every year.
So what does personal property mean? Is that the same thing as real property, like our building, our land, or what's the difference between personal property and real property?
Okay, that's a good question. Real property is the land and the improvements on the land permanently attached to the land. So personal property is the opposite of that. It's tangible personal property, not affixed to the land. So, for example, personal property for an individual would be a boat, a jet ski, a single wide mobile home, etc. Single business personal property for a business would be things in the business such as cash registers, machinery, shelving, equipment necessary for that business, anything that you use to run the business for that profit of that business.
Okay, yeah, and that's good because I was going to ask, how does personal property apply to businesses versus residential? So let's go back to what you said with boats, for example. So if
Sure.
someone has just in their personal life, they have a boat that they use for their family, friends, their personal enjoyment, that is still personal property that is taxable by the county, but it's not, if they don't use that boat in their business, it's not business personal property. But on the flip side of that, if you have a business that uses boats for your business, then those have to be listed for the business personal property.
That is correct. If you individually own that boat and it's residing here in Warren County, you need to list it with Warren County. If you have a business that operates boats for rental purposes or whatever the case may be, yes, same thing. You must register that business and that personal property here in Warren County.
Okay. And so I know, just to go back, because I know this is important and a lot of people have questions. And if they have any questions, they can follow up with you at the tax office about what to list. But it's, boat's a pretty big thing, but it's even things as small as a cash register. Would computers fall into that category?
Yes, it
Tablet,
would. Yes, it would. Office
cell
equipment,
phones?
tablet, anything that you use for the benefit of that business, that profit generating business, anything that you use to run that business on a day-to-day basis, yes, it would be considered business personal property. And like you said, like you alluded to, if a business has any questions about what is taxable versus what is not taxable, please do call the office and we can help you out with that.
Okay, great. Thank you. So what I'm going to do is, you have sent us the listing form that businesses should be using to list their business personal property. So while I share my screen for folks watching the video, can you explain, is this a generic form from the state of North Carolina? Is it something specific to Warren County? And does it change every year?
It is a generic form. It is managed and distributed by the North Carolina Department of Revenue. It's distributed to all 100 counties in North Carolina, so it's going to be the same form no matter what county you go to. It is updated on an annual basis. There might be slight changes to the layout of the form, but generally it's the same information from year to year.
Okay, great. And we're going to show folks later. I'll share my screen and they can look at the county website. But I
Mhm.
have pulled up the listing form for business personal property for 2023. And this is for the calendar year of 2023, correct?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last part. This is for what?
This is for the calendar year for 2023, correct? Okay.
That is correct. That is correct.
Okay. So this form, you said it's a form from the state. It's not a county form. Is it mailed out to businesses? Do they have to go get the form themselves? How do you handle businesses during the listing period getting the form?
Okay. Initially, if this is a brand new business that is never listed with us, you can go to the Department of Revenue's website and you can download this actual form and complete it yourself and turn it into us during the listing period. Or you can call us and ask us for a copy of it, and we'll be happy to mail it to you or email it to you. Or you can come into our office and we'd actually hand it to you. You would complete that form, send it to us. We'd put you into our tax-paying service system. And then every year after that, I would send you an updated form, the current updated form, as long as you still have that business here in Warren County.
Okay, thank you. So I want to just quickly go through the form, point out a few things that I see, point out anything that you might see that maybe folks always fill out incorrectly or always have questions about. So you would put in the very top, because it is a generic form for the state of North Carolina, you need to put in Warren, County of Warren, North Carolina. And then they leave this top section here for department use only. So they're going to start filling out with this section here, the business legal name or individual's name. Why is it business legal or individual? Is the same form used for personal property versus business personal property?
No, ma'am. Personal property is on a separate form. Again, that's also available on the Department of Revenue's website or through our tax office. But sometimes you have a business that's a sole proprietorship and it's listed in that individual owner's name. And sometimes you have it in a business entity name, such as an LLC. And so that's why you have the difference there, business legal name or individual name.
That's a good point. So it's for all business structures. It's not just C Corps, it's LLCs, it's sole proprietorships, it's every type of tax structure for businesses to do. Are nonprofits included in this as well? 501c3s?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
they are.
All right. So the next question I had, they'll put in their legal name, their individual name, if they're doing business as another name, and then their physical address here. But if I want to go over to the right side, what does principal business in this county mean? This section here. Can you walk us through that?
Sure. Principal business in the county is a description of what you're doing here. You could be a landscape company. You could be a pest control company. You could be a telecommunications company. What is it your function? What is the main function of your business? We'd like you to put that there for us.
Okay, that makes sense. And then what is SIC number or NAICS code? What is that? And do you know where people can go to get that if they don't already know it?
Okay. The NAICS code is basically a code that is given to you by the federal government, normally either at their website, NAICS.com, or the Census Department. It's a number classification of your business, a description of your business for reporting and statistical analysis functions for the federal government. If you have a NAICS number, you're more than welcome to put it there. If you do not have a NAICS number, if you never applied for a NAICS number, you just put unknown.
Okay.
Basically, the principal business in this county is going to give me a description of what type of business you're actually doing here.
Good. That's helpful. And so I see below that, this is tied to the question that I just asked you. You mark what your business structure is, if it's a partnership, LLC, corporation, sole proprietorship, or any other. If it's a 501c3, a nonprofit, you said that nonprofits still are responsible for listing their business personal property. And so they would put 501c3 here in this other box. Okay.
That is correct. And before you go further, I'd like to just back up 1 second. Date business began in this county. I would need that from you, that information from you, and your date fiscal year ends. If you're on a calendar year, if you're on a fiscal year, please let me know that information there. That is important.
Gotcha.
But yes, to answer your question, if it's a nonprofit, it's a 501c. Yes, you'd put it in the other category.
Okay. And so you continue down, you know, fill in the applicable category. What is your business? Is it retail? Is it a service? Is it service industry? Is it wholesale, manufacturing, farming, or any other? You would mark that in that box. It needs to be completed, correct?
Yes. We'd appreciate it if you do complete that. Yes.
Don't leave anything blank. Then even with the NAICS code, you can put unknown, but you need to put unknown there, is what you're saying.
And absolutely. And again, if you had any questions on that, if you weren't sure what category you fall under, you know, you can give us a call and we'd help you with that.
Okay. And just to finish out this right-hand side of the form, if out of business, complete this section, date ceased, explain that. Why wouldn't I just stop listing with you? Why do I need to tell you the date that we went out of business?
Okay. All right. So basically, once I receive the first initial form, I'm going to put you into my system. And each year after that, I'm going to send you out a new form asking you to tell me about any changes in your business or your business personal property. If for some reason I don't get that form back, I have to assume that you're still in business here in Warren County. And I'm going to charge a tax bill to you based upon the last information I had. If your business is now ceased, once you get the new form, you tell me the date that it ceased, and I take you out of my system. That's the only time I can take you out of my system, is when you tell me that you have gone out of business and what date you have gone out of business.
Got it. And so then you can say the date that your business, that you went out of business, and then you would say why, you know, did you sell the business? So then you would know if the business is still in operation, it's just they are no longer the owner, the business closed, you went bankrupt, or some other reason. And then putting this information here, who did you sell all your personal property to, right? All the things that you've been listing for however many years, your register, your tractor, you know, all of your equipment and supplies, who did you sell that to? And then their contact information, correct?
That is correct. That is correct.
And then to round out over here, other North Carolina counties where personal property is located, is this tied to the business? So if our business has multiple locations in multiple counties, is that what that section is asking for?
Absolutely. You, for example, you might be a farmer here in Warren County and also in our neighboring counties, Vance County, Franklin County, or Halifax County. So some of your equipment may be on your land here in Warren County, and some of your equipment may be in Vance County. And so this is a way for myself and the tax administrator for Vance County to communicate with one another and make sure that we're properly taxing, that I'm not overtaxing or undertaxing.
Got it. And so the contact person for the audit, meaning if you have to come and audit their business, who should be listed here, and what does this section mean?
Most of the times it's going to be the business owner's CPA. If they don't have a CPA and they do their own taxes, that individual business owner would be the contact person. But most of the time, it's going to be the business CPA.
Got it. And the physical address, real estate owned by, and name in which business was listed last year. Can you quickly explain this section to us?
Sure. So your physical address, you might be leasing a location. So therefore, you're not the actual owner of that location. And so if you're leasing that location, and we'd like you to fill out the location and tell us who the owner of that property is. So we're not basically double billing. We're not charging the landowner or the property owner for the business personal property taxes. Got
it. That's important to note, because you don't want to double tax. And you're not everybody's favorite person, John, sometimes, but you are trying to be fair and making sure that you've got the right numbers assigned to the right people and that you're not duplicating that taxation. Okay. And so then as we scroll down into the form, we start seeing this is where we actually list the property, correct? So
Yes, that's
can
correct.
you walk us through this first section that we see with Schedule A, and then I'll just kind of scroll down as you explain. I might stop you with a couple questions.
Sure. So basically, each section has its description on the form itself. It's giving you an explanation of what I'm looking for in these forms. But in a nutshell, Schedule A, Group 1 machinery and equipment. Say, for example, you're a farmer. You know you have $50,000 worth of equipment that you use to farm your land. You would put that $50,000 into whatever year, whatever category you bought that entire equipment or pieces of that equipment. For example, you might have put $25,000 worth of equipment into service in the year 2022. So you'd put that into additions. You already had $25,000 worth of equipment in the year 2021. So you would put that in prior year costs. So 2021 would have $25,000. 2022 would have $25,000 for a total value of $50,000. And so once you fill that information out, and I receive that information, I put that into our system and I give it a depreciation schedule. So every single year that equipment is going to depreciate based upon the Department of Revenue's guidelines, and I'm going to derive a tax value from that depreciated value of your equipment. So machinery and equipment is you're telling me exactly how much, what is the value brand new that you purchased that for, and what year that you purchased that. Group 3 there, office furniture and fixtures, same exact thing. You're telling me how much office equipment you have in your location. You don't necessarily have to send me a detailed list of every single piece of equipment you have. You're giving me your values. You're telling me how much you purchase in a particular year. And I continue depreciating that until you tell me you no longer have that. And what I mean by no longer have that is under the deletions category, you can also delete some of that information. So if you had, for example, you had in 2021, $25,000 worth of equipment, and you deleted $10,000 of that equipment, you'd put 10,000 under the deletions. And so the total current cost at that point in time would be $15,000. And so
Gotcha.
that's,
Go ahead.
sorry.
Sorry.
So that's how you're telling me what you have, what you no longer have, and what you added. And so every single year, you're going to give me that information, and I'm going to be able to derive a tax value from that and send you a tax bill based upon what you're telling me.
Gotcha. And so I want to stress again, they're just working in total values. They don't have to list out every single piece of equipment onto the form. So if
No, they don't.
everything in your machinery and equipment totals $50,000, that's the number you would put. You don't have to say tractor, tiller, that kind of thing. You just do the lump sum value.
That is correct. The total inventory, total listing of the inventory, that's your business. I'm particularly interested in the value of that total inventory. So I need you to tell me what is the total value of all of your equipment.
So we have a section, Group 1 for machinery and equipment. We have construction in progress. So what does that mean? Construction in progress.
That would be like example, if you leased a building and say, for example, you were going to open a restaurant in that building. So you're leasing a building. It's not equipped currently right now to operate as a restaurant. So you yourself have made agreement with the owner of the property that you're going to fit out that property to make it run as a restaurant. You're going to put a kitchen in, you're going to put a dining room in, you're going to put a prep station in. So all of that expense that you are taking on to make this business operate as a restaurant, you put in construction in progress. So that is going to be something that you're improving that property you're putting into the business. And so you're telling me how much that cost is.
Gotcha. So, and then Group 3 is office furniture and fixtures. 4 is computer equipment. And then it just Schedule A continues onto a second sheet. Improvements to leased property and expensed items. Can you quickly talk about Group 5 and Group 6 and define those for us?
Okay, so improvements to leased property again falls in line with if you're kitting out a building to make it operate as a restaurant. If you had to expand upon that, property, you're going to let me know exactly what that cost to you was. If you needed an extra 10 by 10 room addition on there to operate as your prep kitchen, you're going to let me know exactly what that cost to you was. Expensed items would be things that you're leasing. Going to the restaurant example, in some restaurants, they lease their refrigerators, they lease their stoves, they lease their cooking equipment until they actually pay for it. So that would be an expense item, is leased equipment.
So you do have to pay personal property taxes on leased items.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Good to know. Good to know. And so if they have any other Schedule A properties, so costs that don't fit into any of the 7 groups already listed, I see here that they should use a Schedule A1 or A2 to report those costs. Do they contact you for those separate schedules?
They can. The annual form that we send out to already registered businesses will not include the A1 or A2 or any other schedules. However, if you need a schedule, you can get it from this office, or you can get it from the Department of Revenue's website.
So for Group 7 supplies, this is great, because I actually had this question earlier and then I forgot. We've been talking about equipment, but how is that different from supplies? So if I have paper, or I see here, if you run a barber shop, for example, and you have maybe extra shampoo or conditioner or some sort of hair product on hand, talk to us real quick about we're paying property taxes on our business supplies as well?
Yes, you are. And again, you have to remember, this is something that you need in order to continue in your profit-making business. So yes, supplies that you use to clean up your shop, to disinfect your barber equipment, janitorial supplies, things of that nature, yes, they are taxable. Now, most people, they're not going to have thousands of dollars worth of this office equipment, office maintenance, office janitorial supplies. Most people aren't going to have thousands of dollars of that in their location. It might be $100 to $500, but yes, it is taxable.
Got it. So if we keep going down, we have Schedule B, where and we don't have to go super into this, but I know we've talked before about vehicular equipment, any trucks or cars used for a business. But I'm seeing here things about registered trailers, mobile homes, mobile offices. What's Schedule B? What are we filing with DMV, and what are we filing here on business personal property?
Okay. So in this category, most of this in Warren County pertains to, say, perhaps our logging companies or trucking companies. And so we're asking them in some particular cases to let us know what kind of unregistered motor vehicles you have. In some cases, they have a logging truck that hasn't been on the road for the past year because of a maintenance issue, but they still have it there on their location. It's still for the business itself. And so I'm asking them to let me know exactly what kind of unregistered vehicle that they have at that location. Same thing with any kind of watercraft or any kind of mobile home or mobile office. In most cases, it's a mobile office. The solar companies that we have here have mobile offices at the location. They're not used for living, they're used for office purposes, but I'd like to know about those as well.
Gotcha. And then we talked about leasing property. So maybe a business is leasing their physical location. They don't actually own that location. And so they need to tell you if they are a leasee, and that kind of thing. And I'm seeing here that is this a separate schedule?
Yes, it is Schedule C1. And so in this category, what we're asking for is if you're the restaurant owner and you have some leased equipment, in some cases, the leasee, the person leasing that equipment to you, is already listing that same exact equipment here in Warren County because they're the owner of that property here in Warren County. So they might already be listing that exact same property here in Warren County. So we're asking you, is your stove or refrigerator owned by another company outside of Warren County? I'm going to check that to see if they're already listing that equipment. If they're listing that equipment, I'm not going to charge you for that equipment. So that would be double taxation, and I don't need to charge you if they're already paying for that. And so this is just a. Mhm.
I was going to say, is it safe to say that this is a discussion people should be having with the property owners if they are leasing anything that could be taxed as personal property? So all the way from computer equipment to refrigeration equipment to tractors to mobile offices. If you are leasing that property from someone else, is it safe to say that this is a discussion you should be having in your lease agreement? Most likely is who's handling the taxation.
It definitely is going to help that business owner to have that discussion. And a lot of lease agreements that I have seen, there is specific verbiage in that lease agreement that who is going to be responsible for listing and who's going to be responsible for the tax payments. So yes, it would be a conversation you want to have, or take a look at your lease agreement and see if it's actually spelled out in the lease agreement.
And then we have moving on to page 3. This is a long form, John.
Yeah.
Schedule D,
Uh-huh.
E, F, G looks at separately scheduled property, farm equipment, intangible personal property, acquisitions and disposals, real estate improvements, billboards, leased equipment. I'm going to say that if anyone, for the sake of the video and the tutorial that we're having now, that if anyone has any additional questions after looking at these things, they should reach out to you. But is there anything you can think of offhand that you see folks having questions about or mistaking on page 3 of the listing form? Any hot tips?
Yeah, I can't say that I have a lot of questions from individual business owners here in Warren County regarding this far down on the form. Most of our Warren County business operators are going to fill out the first section, and that'd be sufficient for exactly what they have here. However, yes, if you do have further questions and the directions on the back don't explain it to you, please do call us, and we'll be happy to go over that with you. And we'll be happy to, ask you some clarifying questions and see if that is necessary for you to fill that portion out. Billboards, for example, billboards are something that is taxable in North Carolina, as it says on the form here. However, I can tell you from personal experience that Warren County does not have it in our schedule of values to actually build billboards. We have billboards all down 158 and 401 and 1, but we don't actually charge for billboards at this point in time. So you're more than welcome if you have billboards here and you want to list it, that's fine. You're not going to necessarily receive a tax bill for the billboards itself. Any other equipment you have, yes, it would be taxable.
And I'll say that for that section and for anything, I know we said that this is a generic form from the state of North Carolina. So you're this is an example of something that isn't maybe applicable in the same way in Warren County as it is other counties. But given that we're recording this video in April of 2023, and it's possible someone might be watching it in 2024, 2025, if we haven't updated a resource video, it's always a smart thing to check in with the tax office and make sure that things haven't changed from a county perspective. For example, that we haven't started taxing billboards. So just because you're watching this video and the time that you're watching it, understand that it might be dated with some information.
Absolutely, that's a very good point. Yes, that's a good point.
So you mentioned instructions. I just scroll down of the 4 pages. Those instructions, extra details are on page 4. They do come with the form. But the last thing that people need to fill out on page 3 is their affirmation box, their signature sheet, correct?
That is absolutely correct. The form is useless without your signature. So yes, I need your signature on this. I need you to date it, and I need you to send it back within the listing period. We haven't talked about the listing period yet, so I don't. If we have time, I'd like to go over the listing period so that they know exactly when that is.
Sure. Yeah, go ahead. Let's when do people fill this form out? When is the listing period?
Okay. The listed period is January 1st to January 31st of every year. Businesses do have the option to extend the business listing period up until April 15th. That is done by sending a written request either by email or post office mail. And that has to be received before January 31st. So they can send us a written request asking for an extension till April 15th, and it will be granted.
So again, January 1st to January 31st is the regular listing period. However,
Yes.
if you submit a written request to the tax administrator's office for an extension, you could be granted an extension to April 15th.
That is correct.
So let's go real quick. I want to show everyone warrencountync.com is our county government website. If you're on the homepage and you go under the departments drop down, you can get to the tax administrator section of the warrencountync.com website. And so, John, where can folks go on your webpage to get more information about listing or to find the form? Is that something they can get here?
It is. If you scroll down a little bit further, I do believe it's on my front page, right there, listing form, right under January 31st.
Okay. And I see here you do have January 1st as the start of your listing period. January 31st is your close. And so they would click on this link here for the listing form.
That is correct.
Okay. Good deal. So last, I think we've answered most of my questions. I just have a couple left.
Sure.
I know you're going to have a copy of these records, but I should be keeping copies of my own records, correct?
That is correct. You should really be keeping a record. That way, you know exactly what you sent to us.
Good deal. And then what if I don't have anything to list? What if I am running a business that doesn't have anything that I've purchased? I'm having difficulty thinking about what that could be right now as I use my computer with you and I use my cell phone. But if I don't have anything to list, what do I do?
Okay. And most likely that scenario you're speaking of is probably going to be a startup. It's something someone just started an LLC and January is now rolled around and they're wondering whether or not they have to list. The answer is yes. Whether you have anything to declare or not, or show us a taxable value or not, you still are a business located here in Warren County as of January 1st. I still need you to download the form or ask for a form, fill it out with as much information you can, your name of your business, the address of your business, the contact person for your business, what type of business it is, LLC, sole proprietorship, and I need you to send that to me, sign it and send it to me, because that way I can put you in a system, even though you have absolutely no taxable value as far as a business as of yet. I'm going to send you forms after that to ask you, is this still the same information? Have you added any equipment to your business? Do you have any office furniture now? Do you have any computer equipment? Every year, I'm going to ask you to update me with the status of your business. And while it's a startup now, and while you have absolutely no personal property now, eventually, and the hope is you will grow as a business and you will have personal property to now declare.
Great. Thanks for that clarification. And last question I have for you. I know I said this was going to be a 3-minute tutorial, and it's certainly longer than that. I think this has been really good information for our small business owners and people who are thinking about starting businesses, right? Understanding that this is part of operating a business in any county in North Carolina. But what happens if I don't list with you? What if I don't send you anything and I've been running a business for 5 years and I haven't listed anything with you? What happens then?
Well, this is the part where the tax man comes into play. Sometimes that does happen, either unintentionally or intentionally. If the business is found to be located in Warren County, I can go through means to find out when that business started. And unfortunately, I do have within my ability here in the state of North Carolina to figure out a value for your property back to that day and to this day, and charge you the back taxes for that plus 10% for each year that you did not list that business with us. So I encourage everyone that has a business here in Warren County to file their business here in Warren County. But the answer to that question is that eventually it will be found out and you will be taxed for that. Whether you cooperate with that or not, a value will be figured and a tax bill will be sent.
And and I know I said that was my last question, but this a follow-up question to that, because you and I are making this recording our interview to be a resource, right? We want to help business owners or folks who are thinking about starting businesses understand the different things at play that it's going to impact their bottom line, impact how they administer their business. So let's say that someone is watching this video, they've gotten to this point and they didn't know, right? You know, folks who intentionally do this or unintentionally, they just didn't know. And they've been running a business for several years here and they're learning something while watching this video. We don't want them to feel like they're in trouble, or at least, you know, I don't, that's not the intention of this. So if someone has used this resource or found out recently that they should be listing their business personal property, and they've been open a few years and they haven't been doing it, you know, they should contact you. But what would you say to them in terms of being worried about learning this now and having been open for several years?
Okay. All right. And good question. I would say my goal as a tax administrator here is to make sure that all taxpayers here in Warren County share the burden of the tax bill. That means listing everyone that needs to be listed and billing all taxpayers that need to be listed. If you are a business owner who did not know about this requirement, and there are some, my goal is not to punish you. My goal is not to go back and hit you with fees and hit you with interest and all those things to make it hard for your business. My job is to make sure that you list, and so that we can continue going forward and making sure that we have the proper information to send you a tax bill that is accurate and fair and equitable to everyone involved. So I would say, please do reach out to us. Please do fill out a form and let's talk about it. Let's figure this out. Let's go forward and let's get you in compliance here as far as listing your business here in Warren County.
Great. Good answer, John. I hope you have some folks reaching out to you then, because we know that some folks just aren't aware, and so they might find themselves in this predicament. And sounds like you can be a resource for them and not just a check for them. And then I also want to reiterate, you know, contact the tax office if you have any questions. You can contact us over at Community and Economic Development. We will help be a liaison for you as much as possible. And then also connect you with resources to learn more about taxing, listing, and other things required to run your small business. Thanks a lot, John. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Bye.